Hey guys, I'm Ray, and we are streaming blacksmithing. Hey guys, welcome to the stream. Hey Corwin, welcome. Uh, Pop is 37, welcome. Thanks for joining me today. So, on Monday, we started a brand new project. That project is taking a chain that was sent to me by one of our viewers, Mahalo. Hey Nuts, welcome. And so I decided that I wanted to make this chain into a hold down for my anvil. And so the design that I'd like to do is it's kind of like an attached setup, but I don't want the chain to be permanently attached to my anvil. So basically we're going to take a screw eye and affix it into the anvil stand, and we're going to use eye hooks attached to the chain to kind of one side hold the eye hook, the other side hold some weights, so that all of the things on top of my anvil will stay on the top of my anvil. And when I'm not using it, I can pull it off of the anvil stand, set it aside, and not trip all the time. So on Monday we finished out one of our eye hooks, and so we'll take a look at this guy in a second, and we're going to kind of assess what we like about it and what we don't like about it. And so for today's stream, we're going to take this piece of, I believe I made this a 3-inch chunk of 5/8 inch stock, and we're going to make a second eye hook, or hook eye, or whatever you want to call it. And so that's what we're going to do today. If we finish this faster than we finished that one, we will take these other two chunks and start making some rigging shackles, right? These are little things that are going to attach directly to the chain and the hooks to kind of give us a way to connect the two. So fingers crossed we learned some stuff from this one and we can make this one faster. All right, so the first things first, let's turn on the forge and start heating our metal. All right. We are going to be using the mailbox today. Welcome in, Ping. Hello. And the reason for that is because it's much more efficient and it gets really hot quickly, and I think that we should be able to make it work. We may end up later on changing forges, but for the moment, we're going to take advantage of the efficiency of the mailbox, at least until we start making that hook. Hey, Blue Red, welcome to the stream. I believe your audio is going through a different source than normal. Okay. Okay, so I put that there. Did I put this on the right side? That's out. Okay, then did I put this on the left? Oh, it's because hopefully that helps. Because my lav wasn't all the way into the transmitter, so fingers crossed that worked. Let me know, but I think it is. There you go. Yes. All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome in. We can go over what I just said again if you guys need, but I think you guys could probably hear at least a little bit. All right, I'm going to put these headphones on so that I can hear myself and I don't have to shout as much. Yes. Okay, so do I need to repeat what we're doing today, or did you guys hear it? Yes means yes, no, I don't know. We'll also talk a little bit about what happened on Wednesday and why I didn't stream. All right, let's shove that in there and start heating that. Yes, we're making hooks. Awesome. Yes, we are making hooks. We are going to make a second of these guys. I think for the most part, it looks all right. I heard it when I first got into the chat, but it was low, but I understood. Okay, cool. So yeah, once the ad is done, we'll kind of take a look at this hook and kind of assess what we did right, what we did wrong, and how we can make the next one better. Yay, ad break. Or not, I don't know. I think the initial ad break, like the one in the first like 10 minutes, I think that's a tiny bit excessive. I don't have like pre-ads activated, and I don't know. I feel like it's mostly a pre-ad. But I mean, I guess I shouldn't complain too much because I do get a couple cents from people watching it, so. Alrighty. Gotta start each stream with a good hook. Exactly. Huh. A good hook like this one, or, you know, a good hook like, here, let's see some fire. Oh, goodness. I don't know. I feel like my hi, I'm Ray, and we are streaming blacksmithing is kind of like my little opening catchphrase. Maybe that's a hook? I don't know. You held up that hook and I just got Dead by Daylight vibes. I mean, it is a little bit jank. But, you know, I don't know. I kind of feel like it looks like a pirate hook. Yarg. You know, I just need to like, I don't have sleeves, so I can't cover my hand or anything. But I do. I kind of feel like it reminds me of a pirate hook. Maybe I need to make another hook like this for, you know, Talk Like a Pirate Day. I don't know when that is, though, so I guess I would have to look up when Talk Like a Pirate Day was, you know? Aria, hammer and metal, exactly. Corwin, you have a 40 stream streak. Goodness gracious. Thank you so much for your loyalty and for your continued support watching my stream. Thank you so much. It is people like you that keep me going, you know? All right. It looks like our ads are over for the moment. So we are going to take a look at this guy and we're going to kind of assess it. And what I mean by assess it is just like take a look at it, see what we like, what we don't like. September 19th, is it? Okay. So we are on our close-up cam. So September 19th is Talk Like a Pirate Day. Maybe we'll do another hook like this for Talk Like a Pirate Day. So, I really wanted this to look like a rigging hook. And I think that the initial shape kind of looks like a rigging hook. However, normally the rigging hooks have a thicker section right along the curve, right? And that is so that when there is weight attached to these guys, they don't uncurl, right? And it's kind of a safety feature, and I tried to emulate that, but I kind of missed the mark, right? Good day, welcome in, hello, hello, a Rolls raid. Thank you so much for that raid. Welcome in, welcome in. So yeah, I kind of missed the mark on this thick section right here. And so it's just not quite what I want. So I want to see if the next one, we can kind of shift that over a little bit and deliberately put this thick section down at the tip of the loop. Now, the other part that I'm a little bit unhappy with is the eye itself. I don't feel like it's thick enough. So what I did was I punched this hole, and I think maybe if we leave ourselves a little bit more material, we should be able to slit and then drift open the hole and leave ourselves more material to make this hole. So yeah, that's what we're going to try and change today. versus what we did on Monday. Welcome in, Raiders. Thank you so much for joining me. Hi, I'm Ray. I'm a blacksmith. Today we are working on a chain hold down for my anvil. So we are going to be making a second eye hook, hopefully better than this one. And if we make that one fast enough, we're going to start making some rigging shackles. Now, these are too small to be used for nefarious purposes, but they are designed specifically to help transition between my chain and my hook. Now, as a disclaimer, I want everyone to know that I cannot guarantee how much weight any of these rigging pieces is going to be able to take. So once again, just like Monday, please do not use my designs for overhead, for, anything really important, because like I said, they could collapse, they could break. I don't know. So trying to be a little bit responsible there. They're mostly for decoration or, small purposes. Okay, let's see. Oh, we've got plenty of heat. So I think we're going to start our very first attempt. So the first thing that we're going to do is start by tapering out the tip. Oh, you know what? I didn't hit record on any of my cameras, so give me half a second while I set those up. I try very hard to remember to set up all my cameras so that I can edit these later into YouTube. Okay. Did I do the thing? I did the thing. Guys, I did the thing. Flip my camera so you guys can kind of see the anvil, but you can also see me. Okay. All right, let's get some more heat. All righty. Welcome in, everybody. So, unfortunately, I had to cancel Wednesday's stream. And the reason for that is because the weather has been going up and down all month. And it's just been crazy. And unfortunately, I have a chronic illness. And so when the weather shifts and, if I do too much work too quickly, I get really exhausted. So unfortunately, Wednesday was one of those days I had a really bad breathing day, and I was experiencing some brain fog. And it's always really dangerous for me to come out into the shop if I have brain fog. So we're here now. And yeah, I'm super excited to be here, and we are going to continue with this project. All right, so if anybody has any questions about blacksmithing, about me personally, within reason, I can answer just about anything. I also have a background in casting and jewelry and fabrication. So all of that is free game. So, like I said, we're going to start by tapering out the hook area for this hook eye hook. Yep, safety first. If your brain is fogged, it could lead to some bad decisions. Yeah, I knew that I was a little bit out of breath on Wednesday, but I took my laptop and like the sound equipment out on Wednesday to kind of get everything set up. because I don't keep my tech out here in the shop. Otherwise, it'll get all dusty and dirty and it won't work anymore. Anyway, so I brought that first load up, and instead of turning the regular overhead lights in the room on, I turned the big old 1,000-watt like vanity light on instead. And I opened the fridge to look for some equipment, and yeah, it was a big mess. So unfortunately, I was already on strike 2 before I had even brought the cameras out. And I normally run a 3 strikes and you're out policy. So, you know, if I make 3 major mistakes, I put everything away and I go in the house and I rest, because I can't afford that 4th strike. Nacho cheese or Cool Ranch Doritos? You said asked anything. Nacho cheese, 100%. I do not actually like ranch dressing. I live in the Midwest, so I know that's sacrilege. I mean, I grew up in a town that has a restaurant that everything on the menu is drenched in ranch dressing, and I cannot stand it. I hate it. Ugh. I don't know why, I just don't like it. And it might just be because when I was a kid, I was obsessed with chips and snacks and things, and my grandma used to go to the bulk store and buy me big boxes of like the mini chips, and I would eat the Cool Ranch ones first. So, and there was this one time that I got a whole bag, and it was like, it must have been double dusted or something, because every single chip was like covered with so much Cool Ranch like dust that I just could not eat it anymore after that. Oh my God, I hate ranch too. Yes, I absolutely hate ranch. Ketchup Doritos, is that even a thing? I don't think I've ever had or seen ketchup Doritos. Diablo Abyss, thank you so much for that follow. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the community. Welcome, welcome. I love ranch Doritos, but I'm not a fan of ranch dressing. See, I was that for a while, right? I've never liked ranch dressing, but I loved Cool Ranch Doritos until that one bag. I think I just burned out on it, just like in single bag. The ketchup pieces were fire. Oh, the ketchup ones were fire, and they were around here for a short period of time. If they were like Heinz ketchup chips. Ooh. Yeah, I'm still not a big fan of ketchup. I'm a weird person. Like, there's only a couple sauces that I actually like. And when I say sauces, I mean like I like barbecue sauce. I like honey mustard, like as dipping sauce. And I like what is it? Is it French dressing or is it ranch dressing? Not ranch. It would be what is it? It's like this Western dressing. It's like the red stuff. I have to wear horse blinds when walking down the chip aisle so I don't see the Doritos sweet and tangy barbecue chips. Those are too tempting, but they are so good. Oh, you're a sauce guy. See, like I said, I'm not really a sauce person. I don't know why. Like I said, I eat a couple of select sauces. I'm very picky. I got a bag of sour cream and cheddar Doritos a couple weeks. Oh, I love those. I love sour cream and cheddar chips, especially like the Ruffles, you know, with like the little ridges. Those are amazing. But I can only eat like one bag a month, maybe, or I get sick of them, you know? I love Western dressing. I use it for making deviled eggs. Really? That's interesting. I've had deviled eggs and I've had Western dressing, but I have never mixed the two. Interesting. All right, let's do another heat while we're talking. I don't know why it is, but it always comes back to food on this channel. I think really it's because I start my stream so close to some people's lunch that they start watching over their lunch. Okay. So now that we've got a nice point on that, we are going to come over here to the horn and start drawing it out. And man, guys, we are already getting so much more progress than we were on Monday. Super exciting that. My lunch is in 2 hours. And Corwin hasn't had lunch, so Corwin is hungry. See, I get you, right? You want to talk about food because you haven't eaten yet. See, I eat right before the stream. So I come out here and I'm like just finished eating and I'm kind of digesting a little bit. So sometimes I get a little bit sluggish in the middle, or I guess in the beginning of the stream. Today I had a chicken rice bowl. It's like this micro meal. It's like, what is it, Michelina maybe? No, I don't think it's Michelina. I think it's some other brand. It's like this bowl, and you don't even have to vent it. It's pretty good. It's like a TV dinner thing. My dinner is at 11:30 p.m. when I get home from work. Ooh, are you working like 12-hour mid-shifts? That sounds disgusting. My previous pastor used to almost have a trifecta in his sermons: food, Mountain Dew, and the Chiefs, until I gave him crap about it. Hope I didn't break the rule. I mean, no, it's fine. As long as you don't tell about the religious part of what he talks about. I'm curious what got you into blacksmithing. I can read today, guys. So I've always been really into art, even as a little kid, right? I loved drawing and just like making things. I used to use a newspaper to make little like clothes and all kinds of stuff for like my Barbies and whatever. So as I got older, I started trying to do things that were a little bit more fancy. And I took a pottery class, and we got to do some hand build and some sculptures and things like that. I was obsessed. So when I went to college, I went to art school for pottery. But by the time I got to the point where I could take any pottery courses, I had already fallen in love with welding. And so I learned fabrication and I learned casting. And after I got out of school, a friend of mine was really getting into blacksmithing and he dragged me along. So I learned a little bit of blacksmithing, and then I looked up every tutorial I could find on YouTube in 2010, which wasn't a lot at the time. That was before Alex Steele blew up. That was before Forge and Fire was a thing. So I learned as much as I could, and here we are. So, yeah. Let's do another heat. That's really cool. It's great you were able to do something with your passion. Not everyone's that lucky. See, the reason I'm so lucky is because my partner, who we affectionately call the butler, has a pretty okay job, and we're able to make ends meet without me making a lot of money. So they've been really supportive. All right. We are doing pretty good. So I've started slowing down because we've got a pretty good start on that little curve part of the hook, right? So now we got to kind of slow down a little bit and start working on this section. So we're probably going to turn this around in the forge and pay attention to that. Like I said, we're going super fast in comparison to Monday. Whoops, as I drop a second set of tongs. YouTube has come a long way from the stupid human tricks and cat videos that it used to be when it started. Exactly. You can learn so much from YouTube. Now, I won't recommend that you learn exclusively from YouTube. It's always better to learn in person from someone. But it's a good way, or it's a good place to start. The groupies, definitely the grouples. I used to tell everyone that's why I started blacksmithing. Sounds good, but most blacksmith fans when I started were like 70-plus-year-old women. And I was in my 20s. I don't know that I've ever seen any blacksmithing groupies, unless you count the blacksmiths' wives, right? They always bring their families to the get-togethers, which is amazing. Because a lot of times, you know, the people who are not actively blacksmithing go and start cooking, right? And there's always great food at blacksmith get-togethers. I am not the most amazing cook in the world. I mean, I can cook, and I used to be a cook, but I'm not the one that cooks for our household. So, yeah. But yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I've never really seen any blacksmithing groupies. I do get a lot of people who are like, ooh, that's a really cool job when I tell people that I'm a blacksmith and a content creator. But yeah, I kind of, when I started, there weren't a lot of blacksmiths who were doing content. So there was Alex Steele, there was Dirty Smith, and there was this other third guy who I don't even remember his name. And I feel bad for that. But he wasn't around for very long. So that was it. That's all there was. And I swear I scoured YouTube. These days, there's so many people out there making blacksmithing content. It's amazing, you know? So I'm super grateful to be among them, you know, making content. Kind of paying it back a little bit, you know? All right. Let's see about doing another heat. But first, I think I'm going to change my camera angle. Something a little bit more central on the horn of the anvil. I like to change my angle quite a bit because if you can't see real well from one angle, you can usually see pretty good from another. And it gives me some shot variety when I'm editing things. Okay. I get bored real easy when I'm editing because editing is really boring. That's the worst part of content creation, and it takes the longest. Okay. Sorry, I got hit by a little bit of scale. Scale is basically hot rust. All right, we're starting to bounce quite a bit. So I think I'm gonna put this back in the forge to get a little bit more heat. Hammer. Yes. So yesterday, we had a lot of allergens in the air, like dust and pollen and things. So I'm still being a little bit affected by that as well. I have some allergies that I got to deal with every year during the spring. And we also live next to 2 fields. So like there's one on this side of the shop and then there's one behind the shop. And so there's just a lot of pollen and a lot of dust around. So I'm a little bit nasally today. All right. Doing pretty good today already. I mean, we're getting real close to being done with the hook part, and we're just getting started. We haven't even hit the first ad yet, or I mean the second ad. We've hit the first one, not the second one yet. So fingers crossed we can actually start on making one of our shackles. So the other thing, oh, and here's the ad. Speak of the devil, right? So part of the reason that I was less than happy with this guy is because I need to build these shackles on these hooks, right? So I need to make sure that this hook or this piece of steel can go through the eye of this hook. And I also need to put eyes on both ends of the shackle. So this is a little bit on the small side for an eye. So I don't know. We're going to figure things out. I think what we're going to do is we're probably going to taper it down and to a point where we can stick it through the eye. And then we'll probably do a little bit of upsetting to regain some of that material and create our other eye. That is my plan anyway. And if any of you guys who are working blacksmiths have any recommendations for that, I am all ears. Okay, I'm going to do one more heat before the ad starts. I should have about 2 minutes, and we should have plenty of time. So let's try it. If I can get it out in time, right? Apologies if it doesn't quite work the way I hope. And a drop it. Back in the heat. Hey, I still got about, I don't know, 45 seconds to spare. Metro fam, thank you so much for that follow. Welcome to the stream and welcome to the community. Thank you for all of your support, everyone. So we are making a second of these guys. This is a hook eye or an eye hook. I kind of feel like eye hook is, you know, it sounds like an Apple product to me, so I'm going to try and call it a hook eye. Because then, you know, at least, I don't know, maybe that's worse, you know? A hook eye is like if you hooked your eye. I think that would be awful. But, you know, Apple product or grave injury, I don't know, what's worse? All right, so within the next couple of heats, we are going to start rounding out this piece. Right now, it's very square. So yeah, we're gonna need to take all of the corners off and kind of round everything out. And then from there, I think we're gonna punch the hole for the eye. I think what we're gonna do is wait until the very last heat or few heats before we start curving that hook. I feel like that depends on who it's happening to. I don't know. That seems a little mean spirited there. We try not to be mean spirited. Oh, goodness gracious. First ad break. But we're almost to the point where we're going to be starting to punch the eye. That's really exciting. I'm super excited. Like I said, I'm a little bit nasally because I'm still suffering from a little bit of allergies. So if I sneeze, that'd be why. I'll try not to do so, like, directly in the camera. So yeah. I feel like I'm coming back from a weekend and not just starting my weekend. It's kind of weird not having streamed on Wednesday. It just kind of disrupts my entire week. I just almost asked you guys, how was your weekend? But we haven't even gotten to the weekend yet. My last 3 days has been a little bit obnoxious because in my brain, I'm very much, I wanted to come out and stream on Wednesday, and I felt like I could, but physically it just was not in the cards. Did you ever do any sculpting with clay or some other medium? Yes, I used to do a lot of clay sculpting and a lot of wax sculpting. So one of the things that I did in college that I really specialized in was casting metal. And a lot of times when you are creating your positives, your originals, you are sculpting them in either wax or clay. So I created sculptures that I then burned out, and I cast them in aluminum, in bronze, and various other materials. So I have sculpted in clay. It's a favored medium of mine. It's just not something that I've recently been doing a lot of because I'm spending most of my time here in the blacksmith shop. But yeah, I have quite a bit of sculpting, like clay and wax, under my belt. All right, let's do another heat. All right, so once again, I think that if I pick this up and I stick it this direction, maybe I'll put the hammer over there. I think once again, I've kind of left my thickness or my thickest area a little bit too high. So I'm debating if I just want to like lengthen it out just a little bit more. I don't think that I can shove it down much, but we'll see. I think I'll do a couple more heats trying to mess with that, see if I can't fix it a little bit, and then we'll round it out. Hey, Mahalo. Welcome to the stream. Happy Friday. So yeah, this weekend, I don't know what I'm up to. I think I am probably actually going to be doing a lot of research. One of the next few projects that we're going to be doing is a guillotine hardy tool, which is basically, it's a frame that sits in the square hole of an anvil. And there are 2 dies that are replaceable. You can put them in and out of the frame, and then you can stick your material inside, hammer the dies, and it will do whatever you design the dies to do. So I've seen acorn forms, I've seen fullering dies, which is like taking 2 rounded sections and kind of creating like a divot. Keep on keeping on, yes. So I kind of have to research people's plans because I don't want to have to reinvent the wheel when I am making this tool. It's going to be really convenient, and all of you guys have been telling me that I need one for forever. So I think it's time to go about doing it. So I've got to figure out what design I want to go with, what measurements I want to use. It always seemed a bit sad to me to see them pour the molten metal into the mold to melt out the wax away and then destroy the mold to get the piece out. But that is the way it is. Yes, it kind of is. Because, I mean, especially if you've spent, or if the wax is the thing that you've sculpted, right? It's less scary and less sad when your positive was clay to begin with. So then you mold the clay, and then you take the mold away, and you can make as many wax positives as you want, right? So I used to have a whole bunch of molds where I could make whatever I wanted, or however many I wanted. So it wasn't quite as sad when I was burning things out. But, you know, if your positive is straight wax and it's only a single mold, it can be really sad. I mean, you spend a lot of time on your positive. So, yeah. I don't think I have any of my molds anymore because I couldn't take them with me when I moved houses. They were pretty heavy and they were kind of on the fragile side. Most of my molds that I made from the clay positives, they were just plaster, and so they were cracking. So I could not take them with me. Ace Carrot, thank you so much for that follow. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the community. Welcome, welcome. We are glad you're here. All right. I'm going to grab another drink. We're going to change the angle of the camera, and then we're going to do another heat. At least I think we're going to change the angle on the camera. I think we might go a little bit lower this time. Get a little bit closer to the anvil. In the horn. All right, we'll move back just a hair so that we're not accidentally hitting the camera with the scale. Now we'll put it in focus. And there we be. Okie doke. Let's see here. Oh, I picked up the wrong tongs. Let me change tongs real fast. Dropping again. Hey, those didn't even hit the floor. They fell into the compartment underneath of my post-by stand. Always convenient. That's actually a lot better. The thick section has moved down just a little bit, not necessarily because I shoved it down or anything, just because I made it a little bit thinner. So now we are going to spend a heat or two cleaning everything up, making it nice and straight. and ready to bend. Or I guess ready to round out. Getting a little ahead of myself, apparently. Okay. You are getting a little bit. Every so often I have to increase the pressure on the gas so that I get a good steady stream of flame in the forge. You can always tell when it starts popping like that. It's very efficient, but sometimes it acts a little bit funny. So yeah. So like I said, I think I'm going to be doing a bit of research and see what I can do with plans for a blacksmith's helper or a guillotine hardy tool. I don't have any material to make dies for it yet, but I do have material to make the frame. So I will probably end up making the dies from some material that I locate later. But having one is better than not having one, I think. Because if I get a standard version of it, I should be able to buy dies if I need to. Because there are several vendors that sell these tools. So like Christ-Centered Ironworks has little kits that you can put together. And there's several other like vendors that will also sell them. I think blacksmith.com sells a kit and some dies for it too. A thick truck leaf spring could provide serviceable dies. That would work pretty well. I do need to take a trip out to my local junkyard to see if I can't find any good pieces of material. It's been quite a while since I have acquired material. I think the last time I acquired material was the stuff that you sent me, Corwin. And I've just been kind of going through my reserves. It was pretty expensive for a while, steel. So I kind of was trying to ride things out a little bit so it got cheaper. But I think it's starting to get cheaper now. So that's always a good sign. But yeah, we should be able to get a hold of some decent dies as long as I use a standard design and not try to, do whatever because it's just the kind or the size of material I have. And if it turns out that I don't have enough material or if I just need to buy other stuff, then we'll delay that project and have do a different one. Another project that we've got to add that we are adding to the list is another set of tongs, right? I've got a lot of bolt jaw tongs like these guys, and they work beautifully for most stuff. But, I could definitely use a pair of wolf jaw tongs, which have a much shorter opening area, and they kind of have like little teeth. They are designed specifically that you can hold a square piece of stock both vertically and horizontally in those tongs. So we're going to make another set of those, and I want to do that out of the spring steel because I want to draw out really, really nice and skinny reins so that I can squeeze them and put a tong lock on them, and it'll help hold things. So that's going to be another project that we're doing pretty quickly here. All right, let's do another heat. I got a list of stuff to make. I also have to make some gardening tools. So The butler mentioned I should make a hoe, and I said I gotta be careful making a hoe. Cause titles. Kind of want to make a tiller too. Trying to keep things nice and straight, ready to go. So let's take a look at our other side. It looks like from here that I've still got this chunk a little bit too far up. I don't know that I can fix that though, unfortunately. I may have just like made two identical pieces, so I don't know. We'll see. We shall see, but we're gonna heat this up first. Ooh, I got an auto mod. Let's see. Yes. Yes, a gardening tool, a hoe. There aren't many videos of beating them. I'll see myself out. Yes, the auto mod got you. But yes, that's exactly why though. That's exactly why I was like, I don't know if I should actually make that kind of like gardening tool, because I was afraid that things like the auto mod would catch it and then like the YouTube algorithm wouldn't push it and stuff. So I don't know. We will definitely be making some hand tools. Maybe some of those like 3-prong little reiki things. I don't know much about gardening, but we are starting a new garden this year in the yard. I sit on a 2-acre plot, like the shop and the house, and the butler is tired of mowing all of that space. So we decided that we were going to plant a garden to kind of take up some of the yard. So I have been working on these little sprouts. So we got 5 different vegetables. We got corn, we got tomatoes, we got peppers, scallions, and regular onions. And I've started all of them as seedlings. So the corn is ready to transplant, but the scallions and the tomatoes are not doing great right now. They still haven't sprouted, so I'm hoping that in another week they will be good to go. I do have some tomatoes that seem like they're pretty good to go. So we'll be putting stuff in the ground this weekend, I think. So that's another thing that I gotta do besides research. So I don't think that I will be using building a like a tiller thing as our first thing, because I won't need it by the time I have it ready, right? And what I mean by tiller is like there's these 4-pronged things that kind of have these like little curvy hooks. They kind of look like this, and there's like 4 of them, and they have like a T at the top. They're on a stick and like a T handle, and then you kind of just like turn it, and it turns the ground and breaks up all of the dirt and the grass and stuff like that. So I think we're probably going to have to buy one. I probably will make one as one of our projects here, but maybe not the first thing that we do, you know? Alrighty, let's do another heat. Like I said, we're going to spend a little bit of time just straightening everything out, making sure that we are ready to go when it comes to rounding it out. If I have too many lumps and bumps in weird places, it's not going to be even. So this is going to be a short heat. Or maybe a slow heat? Something like that. All right. So I think now is going to be the time where we are going to take the corners off. We've already developed a weird oblong shape. We're not a square right now. This side and this side are a little bit acute, and these two sides are obtuse. So we're going to fix that by rounding this whole thing out. I have a parallelogram, not a square. I had one of those manual tillers many years ago. Yeah. So it's the cheapest way to, or it's the cheapest route, and we're not making a huge garden. So I think it'll do for now at least. It's either that or we'll rent one. There is this place called Grand Rental Station in the neighborhood. Well, I guess not the neighborhood. It's in the town. And so you can rent a tiller from them. But I don't know how much it costs to rent. So I think because we're not doing a really big garden this year, we'll probably do it by hand. Because I don't have to do it because the butler is going to be doing it. I'm probably just going to be the one transplanting the little seedling pods from the little trays that we have into the ground. Got any neighbors that garden? Unfortunately, we don't. We do have, like, we live in an area where there are like a couple of farmers here and there, but they have like full tractors and stuff like that, and that wouldn't fit in our yard. And one of the farmers isn't a crop farmer, they are an alpaca farmer. So they have like several acres, and it's just full of like little woolly llama creatures. So yes, alpacas. Oh, the other thing that we have to do, we have to get rid of the groundhog. There is a groundhog that has been living in our yard for a couple of years, and we keep filling in the holes that we find, but it still keeps digging out new holes and digging out the ones that we fill in. So I think this weekend we're going to buy a live trap, and I think you guys told me, it was you guys that told me that melon rinds are great lures for groundhogs. So maybe we'll do that. It's probably going to be cheaper than having someone come out and remove it for us. Yeah, better displace him before he gets a girlfriend. Yes, and we've already caught him trying to eat the sprouts because we put the sprouts like on the porch, and Tungsten, who is my cat, absolutely loves like sitting up outside the patio door or like inside the patio door and just watching them. And so one day we just hear him screaming, and we're like, what are you screaming for? And so we went out and we looked, and he was screaming at the groundhog who was sniffing in my plants. So my cat's he's a good boy. He got pets and treats for, chasing off the groundhog from eating my sprouts. Goodness. So yeah, we definitely need to get rid of the groundhog if we're going to get some plants and some veggies to eat, GG cat, yes. My cat is the best pest removal ever. We used to have a big problem with mice at my old house. And so when he came along, when we got Tungsten, he made sure that he got rid of all of the mice. And so when we moved to this house, he's gotten rid of all of the mice here too. So we haven't actually seen all that many mice, but we did see a lizard once. He got like a little blue-tailed skink, and there was just a dead one in the living room one day, and I'm like, did you get this? He was very proud and very smug. So he gets treats every time he gets rid of a mouse or a lizard. He's very good at it. All right, let's do another heat. Did I do the thing? No, I did not. There it is. He's my great little mouser, but he's starting to get a little bit old, so I don't know how much longer he's going to be an amazing mouser. Just going to be a lap cat after a while, you know? All right, so we are getting rid of all of our corners. We're going to try rounding this out, or not try, we're going to do it. Like Yoda says, there is no try, only do. All right, we're going to do a couple more heats just to kind of smooth that out, make it really nice. Then we're going to go back over to the horn and kind of spend a little bit of extra time on this open section here, right underneath of the fatter section, the prouder section. Woohoo! New ad. I beat the ad. Always exciting. We're getting pretty good, but we've still got an hour and a half, and so I've got a hole to punch and then a hook to form. We might be able to start doing a little bit of the drawing out on the first shackle, but we're definitely not going to finish a shackle in one day. I would totally trade rodents for treats, right? I think it's a fair trade. But yeah, the worst part though is that Tungsten will not kill, he doesn't like killing them on his own, right? The only reason that I think that I saw the lizard dead is because I think the dog killed it. So what Tungsten does is he catches the mice, scruffs them in his mouth, and brings them to the butler, right? And then just drops them. And it is the worst in the middle of the night when the cat jumps on your stomach to wake you up and then drops a mouse on top of you when you're sleeping. That was not pleasant. That was like, I think it happened like 3 times. And it was not pleasant. It was not pleasant for the mouse. It was not pleasant for us. And I guess it was only really pleasant for Tungsten. Although he did still have to go and catch it again because we were not ready to contain the mouse. So, yes, it was a very scared mouse. And so I did not get to sleep in the same covers after that. We had to strip the bed and wash all the sheets at that point. So these days, you know, we haven't had any issues with that. The cat hasn't woken us up for a mouse in a very long time. So he does a good job. Many years ago, I read an article about someone with a heated warehouse that was being overrun with roaches. He got a bunch of geckos and let them loose inside. After a few months, they were hardly any roaches. I don't know that I would be anywhere near a warehouse full of either roaches or geckos. Like, I do love lizards. I really do. But if you're infesting a warehouse with lizards, that's too many. You know, I don't think that you'd be able to, like, work in a warehouse full of lizards. That honestly, that sounds like the lady who swallowed the fly, right? There's that little kid story. It's like there was an old woman who swallowed a fly. I don't know why she swallowed the fly. She swallowed, I think it was a mouse to catch the fly, and then she swallowed a cat to catch the rat. It was a big long thing. It was a book that we read when I was in grade school. But that's what that reminds me of. I feel like you'd almost have to release a cat into the warehouse full of geckos in order to get them under control. So, yeah. So it looks like we got about 30 seconds left in this break. So once that is over, we will do our next heat. Like I said, after we finish rounding out the hook section, instead of bending our hook, what we're going to do is we're going to turn it around and we are going to start forming the hole for our eye. All right, guys, welcome back from the ad. I've been having some real trouble with scale today. Not like little scale, like big scale chunks. It's not too bad as far, or like for the material itself, but it is flying up and hitting me in the hand and in the arm. So hopefully if I keep the anvil face nice and swept off, it won't hurt as much. Let's do this. Starting to try and get rid of all of the facets that have developed on this round. Flatten everything out so it is nice and pretty to look at. I think I'm going to do one more heat just to get rid of a couple more lumps and bumps. I can see one right there that I want to address, and right there. Then we're going to come back over to the horn of the anvil and finish off the rest of that hook. Alrighty. So I talked to you a little bit about what I'm going to be doing this weekend. How about you guys? Anybody doing anything exciting or fun this weekend? Are we all doing work, or, you know, I know that there's an area in the Midwest of the United States that is supposed to get pounded by storms this weekend. So I'm kind of waiting for it. I see it outside my window. It's really cloudy and kind of humid. So I don't think that we're going to start really getting hit bad until probably Sunday, Monday. Going to Haverhill Forge tomorrow. That sounds exciting. It's always exciting to fellowship with other blacksmiths. Super happy for you. I'm super excited for the end of this month. So on the 30th is the first day of the BAM conference in the Ozarks in Missouri. So we are going to be going out to visit that conference and hanging out with a whole bunch of blacksmiths. I'm super excited about this conference. On Wednesday, after I had to cancel stream, I spent the day kind of doing my homework for that trip. I emailed all of the guest speakers, and so I'm waiting to see if anybody is interested in setting or pre-setting up an interview. So there are a couple of gunsmiths there that are going to be demoing barrel making, and there are a couple of traditional tool makers who are using traditional methodology. So no presses, no power hammers, all hand forged and struck pieces. So I am super excited to see that. Last year, they had a bloom to finish workshop, or I guess demo, where they actually made bloom steel in-house and they took it all the way to a finished product, and that was exciting to see as well. So I am super looking forward to the conference at the end of the month. Cycling in Wales, UK. Ooh, that also sounds so cool. There's so many. I've seen a few really amazing like locations in Wales with lots of scenic views and stuff. So that should be a really pretty cycle trip. And I hope you have a lot of fun with that. Getting caught up on outdoor chores. Today it's going to rain on and off for days. Hilly, ooh, I don't know. I don't think I could get up a bunch of hills. I think I prefer cycling on flat. But yeah, raining on and off again for days. You definitely do need to get those chores done, because if you don't, the grass and stuff, it's just gonna sprout up. It's that time of the spring where if you get any rain at all, the grass just grows like exponentially. It's kind of crazy. I would like to see how they made gun barrels a few hundred years ago. Yeah, that is one of the demonstrators. That's what they're going to be doing. They have they apprenticed at Williamsburg, like historic Williamsburg, and so yeah, they're going to be making barrels in the traditional way. I'm super excited to see it. So at Quad State, there was supposed to be a barrel maker, the master barrel maker from up in, I just said it, like I literally just said it, historic, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know why, it just went out of my head. I just said the word. Williamsburg. Yeah, so the master barrel maker was supposed to be at Quad State last fall, but unfortunately they had some things come up and could not make it. So we did not get a chance to see the barrel making. So fingers crossed, we'll get a good view of the barrel making at BAM. Yeah. So, and also if you're interested in checking out some YouTube videos, I think Alex Steele has a series of barrel making videos. So far, he's had a few disappointments, but his latest barrel, he's trying to put Damascus initials, or I guess not just initials, like his whole name, he's trying to put in Damascus in a barrel. So I think his next video on that should be out in a couple of weeks. So I'm super excited to see that one too. He is using a few, lovely power tools, like, his power hammers and his lathes. So those are things that they might not necessarily have used in Colonial Williamsburg, but, it's still interesting to see how they made it, All right, let's do our last heat before we move over to the horn of the anvil.
All right. Starting to get pretty round. Super excited. Definitely ready to move over to the horn and work on this little skinny section towards the top. Once that's done, we're going to flatten out this top and start punching, or I mean drifting our hole. I was going to say punching. Yeah, he's got cheater tools. He does, but is it really cheating if the historic blacksmiths totally would use those tools too, had they had them available? Yes, that would be interesting to see if he can get the letters to appear. So he's gotten the letters to appear in the Damascus and in the twists. He's gotten that far, but the main issue now is going to be turning it into a barrel, right? That's the hard part. He's gone through all this trouble to try and learn to do the barrels, and he's spent a lot of time working on this piece of Damascus. So now he's got to turn it into a barrel, and we're interested to see, if he can pull it off. I think that the next video has to be him at least attempting to do the barrel, because I don't think he has much left to do, outside of the barrel. He's done a bit of machining, and I think it's all set up and ready for him to start twisting it. So he's found that it works the best by using wrought iron, which is a old alloy that's really hard to come by these days. I think there's a couple of places that are now creating new wrought iron, but it used to be that you could not find any new wrought iron, and that if you wanted to work with it, you kind of had to go and recycle like old gates and pieces of buildings and things like that. So it's really exciting to be able to work with wrought iron. It's very pretty. All right, let's move. Make your own wrought iron. I mean, yeah. I don't know that I have the capability of doing it right now. But it would be a fun project. I think that would kind of be like a really long-term project for me, is like, learning how to make wrought iron. So maybe sometime in the future, after I've brushed up a bit on my skills. We are definitely learning quite a bit by doing a lot of these different projects. But I definitely need to get to a point where I can forge weld successfully before I try and make wrought iron. Who are you talking about? Twitch or YouTube? I'm talking about Alex Steele. He is a YouTube creator, and he is an amazing young blacksmith from England. Helps when you can grab a hold of things, All right, we're probably going to do another heat here on the horn of the anvil, just kind of keep truing up that round section, and then we will start on our drift. We're getting real close. They didn't mine iron originally. They got it from swamps and bogs. Yeah, there's a lot of ways to to mine things that weren't around back then. Yes, Alex Steele. He is a YouTuber, a blacksmithing YouTuber. Okay, that's fine. Just wanted to make sure that I didn't move the anvil out of the view. Yes, Alex Steele. I guess there would be some distortion in the letters or when he forms that flat into a tube using the mandrel. Yes, there is a little bit of distortion, but not as much as you would imagine. So at the very, very beginning of this series of videos that he's been making, he actually showed some original or like pictures of original barrels that were made using these processes. And they actually did have people's names in the Damascus steel. It was how they personalized these gun barrels. And they were made for very, very wealthy patrons. And they still make them to this day. So he went to a factory, the factory where they make these barrels. And he was looking at some real ones too. It was super, super exciting. Super cool. And that was a missed opportunity. They could have named him Axel. I mean, Axel Steele, yeah. But yeah, he lucked out and got the Steele last name, as a blacksmith. I mean, that's pretty exciting. It's pretty, interesting. More related than my name. I saw some guy using black sand, which was iron ore, to smelt iron. Yeah, that's how they were making the bloom steel at BAM last year. So they started with black sand and they dumped a whole bunch of coke in there, and I think they used crucibles to hold the black sand so that it just didn't go everywhere. So you get these like little, I think they're like graphite crucibles. You can buy them over on Amazon, and you pour the black sand in them and get it up to melting heat, and then the coke kind of creates a bit of the carbon that you need to do steel, or to turn it into steel from just straight iron. So it's a really cool process. It was super exciting to see. Unfortunately, I didn't get many shots of it because the guys were pretty shy. They were kind of, when they saw us coming, they kind of huddled up and they didn't want to talk to us. So, and I mean, I can't blame them. It is really intimidating when someone walks up to you with a camera, wants to stick into your face, and you're not prepared for it. That can be super scary, Not everybody is as used to talking to people in front of a camera or talking to people in general, They can make that process much easier if they would run the sand through magnets first, I think. Yeah, kind of. The other day I was watching YouTube and I get my shorts, or I use a web browser to browse my YouTube, and so I get these like strips of shorts. And the other day I was looking at one, and it was a short on this particular separator, and it's used by gold prospectors. So they buy these buckets of this gold sand or whatever, or sand that has gold in it. And so it's this like separator machine that has a rotating set of magnets. And so it pulls all of the iron out and the magnetic stuff, and it drops all of the heavier stuff so that you can kind of pan out the gold. And that's how you could get your black sand. And that would definitely be, the way to go. Then you can get rid of all of the impurities all in one go. You found him. Excellent. He is a great resource if you are interested in blacksmithing. He's really funny, and his videos are very entertaining. All right, let's do another heat. Starting to get a little bit of a twist as we're turning this. It's not terrible, but it's also not desirable. So I'm trying to do what I can to get rid of it. Alrighty. I think we're good to go now. We're pretty darn round. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to flip it and start flattening out that section so we have more material that we can drift out of the way. Or I have to change tongs because I can't pick it up with those. Let's try this a little bit better. Haha. All right, back in the forge. Hopping to Alex bottle opener stream is one of my favorites. Forging until it's a fun one, right? Because he just gets to this point where he's like, stop buying them! And people just buy more. It's funny. It's like those YouTubers who, or I mean, I guess the Twitch people who are like, I'm doing a subscription drive and I'm not going to stop streaming until all of my subscribers, you know, I'm going to do like 5 minutes per subscriber. And I'm not going to stop until we're done. And yeah. Had a small hiccup there, unless it's me. There was a small hiccup there. I think it's finally starting to catch up a little bit. Apologies. I do have a little bit of jumping around with my bandwidth. Apologies. Waiting until that last second to purchase and then ding, another purchase. Exactly. Yeah. So, yeah, I apologize. I did have a little bit of a bandwidth hiccup there. We had a little bit of buffering, so fingers crossed. That's the only issue we'll have today. I have had quite a bit of internet issues lately, but I feel like it was a lot better for a while. So hopefully, you know, it flattens out. No problem. I just wanted to let you know. I know you were kind of monitoring my net. Yes, I am definitely monitoring my net. Because I've got right now, I have enough attention that my ISP has one of their managers on my case. So if I have any issues, I have a direct text to one of the managers. So, you know, it's real nice, but I think I'm one of their unusual clients. I use a lot of bandwidth on the upload. A lot of people don't. But streaming kind of requires it, you know, to get a really nice steady stream. I really wanted to jump up to 2K stream quality, but I just can't. I can't make it because it's all I can do to get the high def. But there is a function in Twitch that will allow you to do 2K streaming. Yeah, but it's your business, so they should pay attention to it for sure. And that's why I have the manager's number, because I keep telling them I'm losing money every time my stream goes down. So they're paying attention. They're paying attention. All right, I'm going to move the camera and then we're going to do another heat. Like I said, we're going to start by flattening out where the eye is going to be on the face of the anvil, and then I'm going to try and drift it open because we're going to get a lot more material by drifting it as opposed to punching. We don't lose quite as much material as we would if we were drilling when we're punching, but we'll lose even less material if I slit and then drift. So we're gonna try real hard to get this to work. It's been a really long time since I've done a drift, slitting and drifting. Okay. Let's do another heat. Trying to keep this nice and flat. And parallel to itself. There is a little bit of twisting, and it's not square. We've got a parallelogram, so I'm trying to fix that as we're going. All right, so we're going to heat this back up, and we're going to keep on keeping on. All righty. Let's see. What do I want to use? Hey, that's not what I want to use. I am looking for a chisel or a drift. I have both. So I've got these two chisels. We might use these guys. And then I also have a drift somewhere, but I gotta find it. Where is my drift? It's right here. This is my drift. We might use this guy. We'll try it. So this has a rectangular, it starts rectangular, so it's a lot thinner than it would be if we were using a round punch. So we'll kind of approach it slowly, and then we'll move everything out of the way. Tool, where are you? Exactly. So eventually we're going to use this tool to open up that eye. And if you compare the tips of both of these tools, you can definitely see that this one's going to remove less material than this guy. Almost anything wedgy can be a drift. Yes, it can. I may end up having to straighten this guy out a little bit. So we might heat up the end. It looks like it's a little bit curved. So I might heat up the end of this. We'll straighten it out and then use the quench bucket because this is mild steel. It's not tool steel. So I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to heat this guy up, kind of fix him up a little bit so we can use him. So this might take a tiny bit longer than it would have if I was just doing a punch, but I think that I want to use this extra time to kind of make it look pretty, or as pretty as I possibly can. Like I said, I'm trying to improve upon the one that we made on Monday. This one's not bad. I think it'll work for what we want, and I don't think it needs to be the prettiest, but I like it to be pretty, right? Never hurts to be pretty. All right, just ran out of water and we are in the middle of an ad break, so I'm gonna grab some juice from the fridge and I will be right back. Juice or Gatorade, one of the two, I don't know. What do we got? We got Gatorade. We're gonna do red Gatorade today. Red Gatorade. Okay. Looks like we are losing a bit of bandwidth. We are jumping up and down a little bit, so apologies. I don't know there's anything that I can really do to fix that. I can definitely see a whole bunch of frames dropping right now. So I think we are pretty laggy right now. It looks like, or OBS is telling me that we're starting to drop a whole bunch of frames. We're at low bandwidth right now. Hopefully that'll go back up again. Seems okay on my end. Okay. Well, hopefully it doesn't catch, or it doesn't go up or go to you guys. Hopefully it's not too bad. All right. Let's do another heat. Fingers crossed it looks okay. I think, oh wait, the first heat that we're going to do is we are going to fix this drift a little bit. Kind of just trying to flatten it out. Make sure that it's nice and sharp. And it's going to work real nice for our drift. Straighten everything out so we're looking down the piece. All right, we're looking pretty good. So we're gonna cool that down in the quench bucket of water, the water bucket. So we're nice and cool now, good to go for that. All right, so I'll probably put that right there for the moment. Next, we are going to spend one more heat flattening out the area that we are going to be drifting. Making sure that it's as good looking as possible. All right, I think we're doing pretty good now. Our next heat will probably do that drift. Corners are nice and square. All right, let's heat this back up. Okay, so I lied. It's occasionally giving stutters, but it's not bad. Well, it looks like we're back up again right now, but we were having a bit of issues previously to that heat. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we are going to stay pretty steady as far as our bandwidth. I told them that I could accept it as long as I didn't completely drop the stream. And I feel like that is super duper generous, and I shouldn't be that generous. All right. So we've got an hour to finish this drift. So what a drift is, this is a drift tool, right? That's what this is called. So basically, I've got a chisel at the very end. So it's like a little rectangle so that we're kind of pushing material away from the middle, the area where we put the central chisel. It transitions between a rectangle all the way up to a round, right? So at the top, it's very round. And then at this end, there's a little bit of mushrooming going on, but it's tapered back in. And that is because the widest section right here, I want to, once it's all the way through there, I want to hammer the rest of the drift all the way through. So it drops on the floor at the end. So that's what these guys are for. So we'll see how well it works. Tell them Starlink gave you a good deal for you to promote them and you're going to use them if they don't fix it. I should. That's actually really funny too. I should. All right. Do we have enough heat? I think we do. We're going to start drifting this piece now. All right. So we're going to put this flat on the anvil, like so. And we're going to pick up the drift. And we're going to pick where we're going to put it. I think we're going to put it right about there. I want to make sure that it's equidistant from 3 of the sides. And we're going to pick it up after each hit. And we're going to make sure that we've got it all nice and lined up and even as we're going, so that we're not shimmying it all over the place. And this first heat's probably going to take us a little bit of extra time, but we've got a good indent in there. So if I move it up like that, you can kind of see that little square divot. That's where we are drifting. So, whoops. It's relatively even and centered. So yeah, it should work pretty well. Let's get more heat so we can keep on keeping on. Divot, a great word, yes. Got to keep this guy nice and flat and cool so that it doesn't move on us. They don't know if Starlink did that or not. Number 2, they don't know any of the details about your business, so we can take advantage of this for your benefit. Yes, definitely. I actually do have receipts on that claim too, but I'm not going to get into that right now. All right, so we're going to heat this back up in the forge until we get it as hot as we can, and then we're going to continue pushing this tool all the way through a hole. And once it's been all the way through, we are going to change from this guy, and we're going to use this guy to kind of push it open even further. And hopefully we will get more material all the way around than this guy gave us. So for this guy, we actually ended up losing a plug, right? And it was actually relatively thick in general in comparison to other holes that we've had. We've had some really skinny discs. This one was relatively thick because we started with a thick material. So hopefully we'll lose a lot less material this time. That was what I was supposed to do today. So on Monday, during the stream, Jack gave me an idea where you poke a hole in a water bottle, and that way you can kind of spray really small areas with water, so that if you are a little bit off center, you can kind of move material in one direction and less the other by cooling part of it down. I should have done that, but I did not do it. So we'll see where this goes, where this takes us. Fingers crossed it's better than the other one. So once we get this hole drifted in, we are going to curve out the hook. Right now, we just kind of have like a taper. It's kind of like a carrot with a square block at the end that we're putting a hole in. We're going to see what we can do about that, though. Okay, let's do another heat. I'll probably do one more heat with this camera angle, and then we'll do another camera angle just to give me some variety. As I drop it on the floor. We're getting there, but we're not quite done yet. We've got a little bit more heat that we can play with. See if I can't get it out of here. That would be beautiful, but unfortunately, having some issues. There we go. Now I gotta cool this down again, and we're gonna heat up this piece. All right, so it's looking like it's a little bit fatter on that side and a little bit skinnier on that side. So we'll see what we can do with that. I also think that I could use some lubrication. So we made some punch lube with our out of coal when we made our hammer. So hopefully that helps us a bit. Kind of trying to straighten the drift out, make sure that it's nice and straight. It's not going to bind up in the hole that we're making. Trying to find a good place to put this so that it's not going to bounce off the anvil. So we'll put that over there. And we'll put those up there. Oops. Those can go back down there. Setting up the shop or setting up your workspace is incredibly important when you are trying to quickly get a heat done. The more heat that you waste trying to figure out where your tools are and reaching things and stuff, the less heat you have to work with. So you really want to try and do your very best to set up your workspace before you pull the steel out of the heat. We're almost to the point where we can pull it out again. We're getting there, slowly but surely. It's going to take us a little bit of time, though. Got a bit of mushrooming on the end of this punch. So I will probably heat up this back end after a little while, kind of hammer that back in place. That way it doesn't get stuck when I want to drop it all the way through. But we're going to wait a little bit before we do that. Okay, let me move the camera and then we should be able to get another heat in. Trying to make sure that I don't accidentally unplug my camera because, you know, that would be bad. Okay. Okay, let's do this. You need to be like the surgeon who trained themselves to say, how interesting instead of oops. I know, right? I say oops so often, it's kind of a habit now. That and apologizing. I apologize for so many stupid things that don't even matter. You know what? I totally didn't even use the lube because I'm a smarty. I got the lube out specifically so that I could, you know, use it, and then I didn't. Come on, get out of there. There it goes. We're getting real close. You can definitely see the indentation on that side. It's a little bit too much on that, but we'll do it anyway. Well, I think I'm going to heat that up again before we do it. So we're getting there real close. Raw. Hey, Shelly, welcome to the stream. Hello, hello. Welcome, welcome. So right now we are drifting a hole. So last Monday we punched the hole for our other hook. Right now we're making a second hook, right? We need 2 hooks and 2 shackles. So right now we're working on the hole. And the last time on Monday, we used a punch, and I was not happy with the amount of material stretch. It's kind of skinny around this hole, and I want to create a little bit more area, a little bit more material. So we are doing it a different way. This is a tool called a drift, and so it starts with like a little tiny rectangle, and then it tapers up to a round, and then it tapers back down to a skinnier round so that this guy can drop all the way through. We are getting a bit of mushrooming, so we're going to have to heat up the end and kind of hammer that back in on itself so that it'll drop all the way through. But yeah, we should get a much fatter amount, or a much more, we should get much more material for our eye to stretch. This way. All right, let's do another heat. We're getting real close. We're getting real close. A little bit of lube in there. Look at that nice so for our next heat, we are going to need to do it over that hole right there, the Pritchell hole, because we're going to get real close to needing to drift this all the way through and out the other side. So that also means that we're going to need to fix our drift. Well, man, that lube is not helping very much. Now is it? You can definitely see where the drift has or is going through. So I'm pretty happy. We've got a nice slot going. So I'm going to turn this guy this direction. Like I said, we're going to heat up the head of this guy and hammer back all of that mushrooming. Mushroom, mushroom. Man. So several months ago, probably about 6 months ago, sometime last fall, they knocked down the 2 houses on that side. And so they did it in preparation for a new building expansion for the rec center, which is on the other side of those fields. And so they've started construction, and I can hear the construction vehicles moving around and like doing things. So there's like this tiny little vibration every once in a while where some of their heavy machinery is moving. It's kind of crazy. All right, we are going to move camera positions because we're going to start using the Pritchel hole. Like I said, we're going to be starting to drill or drift it all the way through. Let's see if I can't find a good position for the camera as you watch me struggle. I'm going to open this door. Ah. Oh, come on. You can do it. You can do it. Camera. Okay. Cool. That should be a decent view. You should be able to see both the Pritchel hole and the flat of the anvil. And it should be good. Blue red metal. I like to use Spock's line and say fascinating. That's a good line. Fascinating. I use that one relatively good or relatively often too. I think actually that's probably a better place for me. All right, so like I said, we are trying to hammer that mushrooming away. So we're doing some fish lipping there. There's kind of a hole that's like there, but I think it'll be all right. If I was doing this properly, I would just really, I would just grind that off. But I think it'll be all right. Okay, gonna cool that off. Oops, I touched the bottom of the bucket. This is a water bucket. It is not a quench bucket. Okay. That should work relatively well. Relatively well. Okay. All right. I think we're ready to go, actually. Actually. There we go. Can I get you all the way through? I don't know, maybe. I did get it all the way through. Check that out. Okay. So the next thing that we're going to do is hammer it out the backside. So there's this little chip there. There. Gonna get rid of that. And okay, so our next heat, we're gonna come from the back side and try and see if we can't drive the drift further down. We're going to cool our punch. Seems to be working pretty darn well. So that's not bad. It took us about what? So far, I think we're at like 5 heats for this hole. That's a pretty short duration. So I'm super excited. If you guys know and it's been longer and I just, in my brain, I haven't been keeping as good a track, do let me know. So by by alternating one direction and then flipping the piece and going back the other direction, we are at that point stretching the material evenly. Right now, the side that we did the drift on, the initial drift on, is a little bit wider than the other side. So we need to even that out. Make sure that any like bends and things like that are also taken care of. Hey Lexi, welcome to the stream. Hello, hello. So we've got an ad starting in about 3 minutes, and that should give us plenty of time to get some nice heat on the eye. The eye, the eye. So I think on Monday about this time, we were just starting to punch our first hook eye. And now we're in the process of drifting. We've already got a nice hole. We're just opening it up. We did also skip the process of putting the hook in so that we could keep using the baby forge. So, you know, we still got some extra time left that we didn't use on Monday. But I think we're actually going a little bit faster. Not much, but a little bit faster. So that makes me happy. I'm learning things, I'm growing, and getting a little faster. I think this is the way to go, though, as far as how to open these holes, especially for the shackles that we're going to be doing. Super sighting. All right. Yep. Let's see. I don't know. I'm starting to run out of things to talk about. But, I mean, we're starting to get towards the end of the stream, too. So, you know, I suppose that's a little bit understandable. Oh, goodness gracious. Let's see. So I talked a little bit about some of the guests for BAM. We have a barrel maker, and I talked a little bit about that. But we also have some traditional blacksmiths using traditional methods. So that's also, I'm really looking forward to that because I think they're supposed to be making, the demonstration is for like some tools. So it's always really fun to see different methodologies of making tools because, you know, you look at things from a different perspective than you're used to, and you end up learning different things that you never knew. And I'm really looking forward to that. Well, I just woke up and tuned in. Start over. I mean, I should just start over. So we are currently drifting the eye into our hook eye. We already drew out the hook part, but we haven't bent it. So, I mean, there is actually, you know, quite a bit of the meat of the project left to go. It shouldn't take too terribly long, though, because we've got nice heat coming out of the mailbox. This is my itty forge that I lovingly call the mailbox. All right, we have finally reached that ad. So now I feel less bad rambling on about nothing. But I mean, you know, I should feel bad because we've still got people here. We've still got people here. I'm going to try and keep this stream ending around the proper time, the 2.5 hour mark, because I've been doing a lot of 3-hour streams lately, and I think it's starting to really take a toll on my body. So I really want to make sure that I spend some time resting for the rest of the day, and I get a good start for Monday. All right, we've got plenty of heat. We're just waiting on the ad now. Yay, drift. Let's wipe it off a little bit. I mean, it's understandable. Alrighty, so I'm going to start working on moving us toward our next heat. I think I'm going to put it on that side. We are going to be working at the Pritchel. So I guess I should probably move that out of the way so that it doesn't get in the way of the rest of our stuffies. Okay. Maybe I'll just hold it like so. Or I can chip it. We made some progress. You can see it. So we're going to turn this around for our next heat. We're going to keep on keeping on, getting that drift to go all the way through. We've kind of given ourselves more of that. We're going to have to deal with that. Oh, again, this is a crappy little drift. Cool it off in the water bucket. Oops. All right. It's all wet. Got to be careful too, because if it's too wet, then it's going to end up cooling off the hole and we're not going to get as much work in. So you just got to be a little bit careful as I cool down the drift. All right. Keeping on, keeping on. We are in the process of expanding out the hole that we've created. So we've got to be really careful about the corners on the hole to make sure that we keep this really nice and hot so that those corners don't create cracks. We've got plenty of material, so it shouldn't be that big of an issue, but the corners are where cracks always end up starting. So we got to be real careful. Keep things nice and hot. Nice and hot. Okay. So let's do another. I'm going to change the camera angle here shortly. But for the moment, I think we're all right. In and out and in and out. We're definitely starting to see that we're moving the material all the way around. And we've got a lot more material with this hole and this stretch method than this one. It's definitely noticeable. Oh, that came out nice. It did. We're getting there. We're almost there. We're almost there. Cool off our punch again, or our drift again. You can see it steaming. It's not too hot though. Drift success. I mean, it's not all the way drifted. I want to drift this all the way through so it falls out the bottom. So we've gotten it about yay. We want to get it all the way to here. And then we'll stick this guy through it and get it a little bit further. I want the hole to be a little bit bigger than this one. But we're getting there. We're getting real close. So I think for our shackles, I think this is definitely the way to go. Definitely the way to go. However, the reason that we are making both of our hooks at the same time, or like I guess first, is because we are going to want to put the hook onto the shackle before we drift the second hole, because we want the hooks to be in the middle of the D for the shackle. We want the bolt, the part of the bolt part of the shackle to be where the chain attaches. So we're going to be building the shackles inside of the hooks. At least I think that's what we're going to do. It's probably what we're going to do. Likely? I don't know. Okay. Let's do another heat. This will probably be the last one on that particular angle. And then I'll probably give us a little bit of a shallower or like a shorter angle. That way you guys can maybe see the drift fall all the way through. Nice. We're getting there. We're getting there. So we will actually see the punch fall all the way through on our next heat. So like I said, I want to give you just a bit of a shorter view so you can actually see the punch fall, because this is going to be a deliberate drop. It's going to be fun. You're going to see it and stuff. Alright. See if I can't put it in focus and everything. Sitting in the doorway. Okay. Maybe we'll go up just a hair. Yeah. Right there. That's where we want to be. Okie doke. Like I said, we should be able to get the drift all the way through. It might get hung up on some of the mushrooming on the end. And if that's the case, then I apologize, because, I gave you, something to look forward to and then didn't deliver, but we'll do our best. Ooh, The tongs are a little bit wet, and I touched the mailbox, so I heard them sizzle. Always fun. Sizzle, sizzle. All right. So once we get the drift to fall all the way through, we're going to do one more heat with the drift. We are going to let the drift fall all the way through on the opposite side just to make sure that the hole is even on both sides and it's been stretched out to the max. Then we're going to go to the punch and we're going to drift it a little bit further. Should be good to go. All right. Let's do this. All right. There it went. Now we wanted to go that direction, but we're going to heat this up first because we're starting to get a little bit of cooling. I want to keep this nice and hot, nice and hot. Make sure it stretches properly all the way along. Alrighty. We're getting there. We're getting there. They dropped something outside. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was on purpose. Hopefully it was on purpose, but they dropped something outside. All right. All the things, guys. All the things. Exciting things. It's always like this when I'm getting towards the end of a project, right? I get super excited. I just want to be finished. I just want to show it off and be like, ooh, look at the thing. Look what I did. You know, like put it on the fridge and stuff. I don't think this would sit on the fridge unless I magnetize the whole thing. And I could do that technically, but I don't know. All right, let's do our last heat with this particular drift. All right. Particular. All right. That was simplistic. It still looks like it's a little bit on the square side, and I think that's all right overall. So I think the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to do this. Now we're going to turn this direction and try it again, or do it again. Maybe I don't pick it up using my fingers, guys. Maybe I don't pick it up using my fingers. We are done with this one, though. For the moment. At least until we start working on our shackle. Okay. So, once we open this up a little bit with our punch, we're going to come over to the horn of the anvil and then round out that eye. And from there, we are going to put the hook in, and then we'll be done. Then we'll be done. All right. The heats are going to go a little bit faster, I think, from this point on, because like I said, we're getting real close to being done, and they always end up going a little bit faster towards the end. What direction? This direction, I think. That took way too long, guys. Woo! That's the paint. Okay, so this should go right on the horn of the anvil. So that's where we're going to go next, is the horn of the anvil. If you're going to use your fingers, you got to be fast. Yes, definitely. And I was definitely not fast. I just kind of let it set or sit on it and soak. You could definitely smell, or I can definitely smell the paint being burned off. So that's like 100% not, you know, touch friendly. Okay. So we are going to spend some time working on the corners. We started with a square block, or I guess a rectangular block in this case. So we are going to round that whole thing out, and we'll see what we can do with that. Shouldn't take too long. All right, let's do this. And I think I'm going to put it right there. Probably. Probably. Hopefully y'all will be able to see it. Couple more heats to fix that up. But we're getting there. Much better. Much more better. Okay. And we're done with you for the moment as well. Okay, like I said, we're probably going to do one more heat on the horn of the anvil, focusing in on getting rid of those corners, kind of stretching it out to a point where it's nice and round and it's even all the way around. It's getting close to 2.5 hour mark. 5 more minutes. You're right. It does. I need to get going on this project because I need to rest. So we're definitely going to finish off the hole. Then I'll probably do a cursory attempt to bend it. And then whatever I don't get done by, maybe like in 10 minutes, we'll end the stream and we'll do that on Monday. Like I said, we still have to work on the shackles. So, we've got a little bit of time. Alrighty, let's do this. You can kind of hear me huffing and puffing. So, you're right. I do need to end the stream here shortly. Alrighty. That's actually pretty nice. I think that's pretty nice. Not bad. Not bad at all. I'm pretty happy with that. And if you take a look at it versus the first one, I think that looks a lot nicer. All right. So we're going to turn this around and see about bending the curve. We'll probably only do one heat on that bend because once we get one bend in, it won't fit in the forge anymore. So we're definitely going to need to change change forges and heat up the other forge. And I don't have time to wait for that. So this will be our last heat, whether I like it or not. At least for today. We will be back on Monday and we will finish up this hook and then we'll start working on our shackles. We've got 2 to make. 2 hooks down, 2 shackles to go. All right. Gotta wait for this to be nice and hot. And I'm not a patient woman, so I gotta be patient. I gotta be patient. We'll just play with this one, right? I'll distract myself by pretending to be a pirate. It's like you could totally use the eye to bolt this on, you know, as a pirate thing. But yeah, overall, I am much happier with this version and this attempt. So I'm super excited to, you know, have another one. Another really nice looking one. Now, what I need to do is convince myself that I don't need to replace this one by redoing one. Doing 3 instead of 2. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Okay. So, here we go. For our next heat. Oh, wait. I should probably... I'll just use that. It's fine. I will use that angle. Do-do-do. Whoop, I'm dropping things. All right, so we've got a good start on that, but we need a little bit more heat to continue it and to finish it. So this is probably where it's going to be until Monday. Very happy with that eye. We need a couple more heats on the hook part. So we will finish that on Monday. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining me today. I have had an absolute blast, and I hope to see you guys on Monday. Let me swap to my outro screen, and then we will raid off. Nice going, Ray. Happy weekend, y'all. Happy weekend to you guys. Thank you and have a great day. Yes, have a wonderful weekend. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. Who do we have? Let's go with Play in the Mud. It's been a while since we've rated them. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining me today. Have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you Monday. Bye.